He left his wife penniless, so when he came back 4 years later, he wasn't prepared for this. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Many would describe Caleb Jones's life as idyllic. He had a well-paying job, a nice-sized house, and a stunning wife to return home to. His goal had been to become the ideal nuclear family, which he had been raised to feel would indicate that he had fulfilled all of his life's ambitions. It would not be long until his wife, Annette, wanted a child, given how long they had been married. Annette was a homemaker in every sense of the word. She was unemployed. Since Caleb's job paid enough, they didn't require a second source of money in order to get by. This implied that she could do with her days what she wanted. At first, Caleb didn't mind that Annette was doing this. In fact, he was overjoyed that he could support his wife. However, he quickly discovered that he was becoming extremely resentful of Annette. How come she can do what she wants while I have to slave away at work? He noticed that he was thinking more and more, but the man attempted to push these ideas from his mind and just move on with his life because he loved Annette so much. Ultimately, it wasn't as though Annette didn't assist him throughout his absence from work. Whenever he returned from work, she always made sure the home was clean and dinner was ready. He had never eaten better meals than those prepared by Annette, in fact. Caleb even believed they would sell well at a restaurant because they were so tasty. Things went on as usual for the following several months, but Annette started to detect something strange. Over those few months, Caleb's demeanor and attitude had become worse on a consistent basis. He smelled like beer and was arriving home late from work. Furthermore to that, he was quite irritable, and anything the woman said or did that he didn't like might make him lose it. Generally speaking, Annette would tiptoe around Caleb in the hopes that she wouldn't enrage him because it would only result in hour-long disputes. But then one day, everything started to go south. The day had begun as any other. Since it was their anniversary and Caleb had gone for his job at the factory, Annette spent the first part of the morning cleaning the home and making sure she had everything she needed to prepare Caleb's favorite supper. After finishing all of those things, Annette had an afternoon to herself. For some time now, she'd been wanting to get some new outfits for Caleb and for herself. In an attempt to lighten his mood for the evening, she also wanted to pick him up an anniversary present. After spending several hours outside the house at the shop, the woman returned to find something she never would have predicted had happened. Later that afternoon, Annette returned home to find, to her surprise, that Caleb had returned and was comfortably curled up on the couch. However, the fact that he had many empty beer bottles next to him worried her. "How on earth have you been? Off squandering my funds once more?" Annette was shouted at by Caleb. The woman was hearing things that she couldn't believe. Because she needed to utilize the money he provided her to go out, Caleb was behaving as though she had done something wrong. Annette first attempted to defuse the situation by telling Caleb that she had just gone out to pick up some new clothing and a lovely gift for their anniversary, but her husband was too inebriated and consumed by his rage to hear her out. Without delay, Caleb started accusing his wife of robbing him and worse, of having an extramarital affair. Annette started defending herself right away since she could no longer take his awful hate speech. Caleb was surprised at how upset she was with him for the first time in a long time. This was not the way they had argued in the past. No, this was even worse. Annette ended up telling Caleb precisely how she had been feeling for the past 3 months because she was so enraged and tired of him. The woman informed Caleb that she was weary of his mean-spirited and generally awful conduct, and that she was tired of having to watch what she said around him. Once he got over his amazement, Caleb realized he was getting just as mad with Annette as he was. The cynical guy yelled at his wife, complaining that he was tired of being the only one who had to go to work while she was free to pursue her interests and have a carefree life. Annette was hearing things that she couldn't believe. She didn't need to work since he could take care of everything, he had said, and now he was venting his frustration on her. Caleb went into the hallway and informed Annette he'd had enough before she could remind her husband that it had been his choice for her to not work. He wanted Annette to go because he was tired of the life he was living and wanted to start pursuing his own goals in life. Annette was stunned and immobile. Was Caleb being serious? Was he actually throwing her out? When the woman questioned him about whether he really wanted her to go, Caleb said that he did. Annette nodded all right, recognizing there was no use in attempting to talk him out of it and that she really didn't want to be with him now that he had turned into such a bad guy. After that, she quietly made her way upstairs, packed a bag with her belongings, and left the home. On her way out, Caleb had informed her that he would not be helping her find a new place to live. This time, she would have to find a job if she wanted to buy herself anything. After giving Annette his last speech, Caleb closed the door behind her and observed her as she left through the window. Annette pretended not to worry, but she was actually in a deep fear. The clothing on her back and a little bag of belongings were all that her spouse, who is now her ex-husband, had left her with. However, she was not going to let it deter her. Annette chose to phone her mother instead and requested to be with her as she tried to get back on her feet. A strategy was slowly taking shape in her thoughts, but it would take some time to completely implement. After 4 years, Caleb had come to despise them all. He first believed that he was going to live the life he had always imagined. He would spend his money on the things he desired because he was now free and unmarried. He could take a trip, go on a few casual dates, and generally enjoy himself. He could do everything he could dream of. The issue was that while going alone, he found it dull. He'd always had Annette to go on adventures with, but now that she was gone, he had no one to go on adventurous activities or take in the breathtaking scenery with. In addition, he discovered that whenever he went on a date, he couldn't help but compare every woman to Annette. Did they look as good as his wife? Were they as wise, as kind, or as funny? Caleb was obsessed with her and couldn't get her out of his head no matter what. Caleb had attempted to get in touch with Annette to see if she would be interested in resuming their marriage following that first year of being independent. However, the young lady was nowhere to be seen when he went to see her mother, and her mother was most certainly not going to tell him where she had disappeared. Rather, Caleb was allowed to continue living his life precisely as he had previously, but without the daily support of a devoted wife. Caleb made the decision to spend a few days in the city during one of his days off in order to escape his routine existence. Even though the metropolis was many hours away from his village, he felt that he deserved to spoil himself. The man chose to eat at a neighborhood eatery after arriving in the city. He had read excellent reviews about it, and he was eager to give it a try. The restaurant was heavily booked, so Caleb was relieved to finally snag a table and enjoy his lunch. He wanted to thank the chef, so in the end, he asked if he might see them. But he was taken aback when the individual left. Annette was the restaurant's chef. The woman hesitated to approach Caleb the instant she spotted him. But after a little moment, she inhaled deeply and approached him. It was unbelievable to Caleb that his wife was a star chef at a prestigious restaurant. After praising her food, Caleb started to inquire about the possibility of them dating again. Annette, nevertheless, informed him that she was content with her new life. She was more concerned with realizing her goals than dating since she had prepared for a very long time to get to this point. Caleb gave a resigned nod, even though he was aware at the time that letting Annette leave had been the worst decision of his life. He wasn't going to wreck her life once again. After bidding her farewell, he left the restaurant determined to change for the better and treat the next woman who entered his life with respect. The only thing we can do when something doesn't turn out the way we had hoped or intended is get back up and try again. Please share your thoughts on this topic in the comments section below. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.